Hello everyone, Sarah Breitlander here with Crane Luxury Real Estate, and I hope you guys are happy and well wherever you may be. You may realize that my surroundings are a bit different today. That's because I am at the JW Marriott in the Guanacaste region of Costa Rica. I've been asked to come and speak to a group of very successful entrepreneurs who are having a retreat here in Costa Rica. And they've asked me to speak this evening to them about the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. In the comfort of your home, you are going to learn about what I consider, in my opinion, the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. So let's get started. And remember, if you find these educational series useful, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the notification bell so that you're the first to know on these things, and also follow us on our social media at Sarah in Costa Rica and at Crane Costa Rica. Okay.
Join me today and welcome to the beautiful Costa Rica. Share with you one of our top luxury listings.
Okay, let's get started. The do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. Number one, and this is true, I don't care if you're investing in Costa Rica or really anywhere outside of the country, your country of origin. You always have to consider your ease of access to your property, okay? Because this isn't like you're going on a vacation, a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and you're never coming back. The whole purpose of you investing here for most of my clients, if you're not living here full-time, if it's a second or third home, is to get to use and enjoy your asset. And it doesn't matter how beautiful a place is. If you are having trouble getting there or it's exhausting to get there, the truth is you're just not going to utilize it as much and it's not going to work out. So Costa Rica, I do think this is one of the reasons that Costa Rica shines for my Canadian and U.S. clients. Ease of access is a big one for Costa Rica. Not always true with my other clients, and I'll tell you which ones that doesn't work for. But for my Canadian and U.S. clients, it's great. Number one, it's in the same time zone. So depending on the time of the year, Costa Rica is either in the Central Standard Time Zone or on Mountain Standard Time, which is great. So when you're down here, you can FaceTime your loved ones. You can call your loved ones. You don't have to worry that they're 8 hours ahead or behind and you're calling them in the middle of the night. Also, it's great for my clients who need to still conduct some sort of business while they're down here. Some of them times they come down here and work remotely. I've had clients that come down here and work remotely for a month and don't tell their employers. They shall remain nameless to protect the innocent. But that's something you can absolutely do here because it's in the same time zone. Another reason I like that, there's no jet lag when you're traveling. Okay, my family went to Europe last year. It was an amazing experience. Thank God we just went once and came back because the jet lag almost killed us. Right? It's a whole day to recover, getting there and back. No one in this day and age has 2 days to recover from jet lag. So that's why I think Costa Rica is very attractive to my U.S. and Canadian clients, and also direct flights, right? So there are direct flights from Miami, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Chicago, New York. Alaskan Airline flies for my Western Coast clients, Canada Air. These are all direct flights. And for most of the cities I just mentioned, those direct flights are 3 to 3.5 hours. Costa Rica sounds further away than it is. My clients always say that. They're like, it's closer than I thought. I said, I know, it really, really is. And then with one connection, you can get almost anywhere you want to be in the United States or Canada. It's a beautiful thing. My family is from Kentucky, and it's a very rural area. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I love it. I can get from there to Liberia, Costa Rica, the international airport in Liberia, one connection. So I really love that. And like I said, this is not true for all of my clients. I have had my Italian clients is a good example. I've had very wealthy, affluent families from Italy. They come here on vacation. They love it. And they buy when they're here. They love everything about Costa Rica. They go home and we rarely see them as we're managing their property. They're trying hard to get in and out. And I've seen it, more than a few times. They come to me after 2 or 3 years and they say, Sarah, we love it here, but it's so darn difficult for us to get here that we're going to have to invest in a second home elsewhere. So that is always food for thought, is to consider your ease of access. And then finally, remember, for all of my clients, they come in through the Liberia International Airport in the Guanacaste region. After that, you need to decide, after a long day of travel, after the airport, How far do you want to drive from the airport to your home? I will tell you that my clients, when they arrive at Liberia International Airport, they will invest anywhere from as far north as the Papagayo Peninsula and as far south as Tamarindo, Langosta, Junquial. I lose 98% of my clients on that road to Nosara. I do have clients that invest there, my more adventurous clients. Surfing's amazing there, but the road is tough. And you'll look at it on a map and you'll be like, as the crow flies, it's only 70 kilometers from the airport. Or the road says 96 kilometers. Yes, but you just have to live it, is all I can say. I have been on that road to Nosara for an hour in second gear. Okay, there are potholes, you go through rivers. That's assuming it's perfect weather in daytime. At night, we don't have these well-lit highways that sometimes my clients are accustomed to in the United States or Canada. At night, there could be like torrential downpours in the green season. So you have to consider that. And like I said, most of my clients, about an hour and a half drive upon arriving at the airport is enough, is manageable for them that they can come down and really enjoy their home without being completely exhausted. Okay, number 2 of the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. Do own your property here in Costa Rica in fee simple title. Okay, just like in the US and Canada, my clients love this. There's no tricky business here. There are no leases and then you lease it back to the government. There's no fractional ownership. There's no timeshares. You can own in fee simple title outright your property here. And another thing to know is the government does not differentiate between a Costa Rican owner and a foreign owner, which is great. So don't ever feel like you're paying more in property taxes or paying more for a property or paying more in a transaction to buy real estate because you're a foreigner. The Costa Rican government does not differentiate that, which is very great for us and our clients. One thing I do want to say about fee simple title, if we're only talking about beachfront, okay, remove all other properties from your mind except beachfront along the coasts. That is restricted, and only 3%, more or less, of Costa Rica's beachfront can be held in fee simple title. So it's a very, exclusive group of homeowners, right? The rest is either held in forest preserve, it's protected forever, which is amazing, or it's held by the government. It's more of a security law. They want to kind of own the majority of their boundaries. And they will allow others to use it, but it's called concession property, where the government is leasing it to a private citizen or foreigner, whoever, in intervals of 20 years or more. So while that may be attractive for these big resorts who have a little more political power, economic power, we don't normally recommend it for our private residences. Because in 20 years, you don't know if that's something that your kids can inherit, right? So we only recommend fee simple title for beachfront owners. And the good news on that is that 3% of beachfront property is all in the areas where our offices are, right? That's why we're here. So it is mainly, for example, Langosta, Tamarindo, Playa Potrero, Playa Flamingo, Las Carolinas. There's a heavy beachfront ownership that can be held in fee simple title. So do own your property in fee simple title. Number 3 of the do's and don'ts, and this is a little different from US. It is different from US and Canada. Do not own the property in your personal name. I mean, you can. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you should not. And here's how it works. Essentially, you will own 100% of a Costa Rica corporation that owns 100% of the asset. Okay, so it's clear chain of title. There's a couple reasons for that. The most important reason is ease of making decisions about your property without having to physically fly in and be present, okay? And they could be from buying and selling your home, but it could also be very minute details like changing your cable providers or changing your internet provider. If you own your home in a corporation, all you need to do is sign a special and limited power of attorney to your property manager, to your attorney's office, and we can make that change for you, or they can make that change for you. You don't have to physically fly down here to do that. And I even have that with our homeowners. Sometimes, someone's sick or can't make it down and they need to sell their property. They own it in a corporation. It's no problem. They can execute those limited power of attorneys to get business done here. And I'm gonna use my Italian example again, but for example, there's a heavy Italian population here for people living full time. They love Costa Rica. It has a great flavor. I love them being here as well. They started coming back in the early 90s, and many of them bought in kind of Italian developments sold by Italian developers to Italians. They took out ownership in their own name, which you can legally do. What happened? They went back to Italy. A lot of them did not come back to visit, right? Unless they're either living here full time, but it's not, it's kind of hard to come back and visit. So the property sat and sat and sat, and my Italian homeowners were aging. And they, some of them were well in their 80s, 90s. Sometimes we were dealing with their children that were in their 70s. The children, they were ready to get rid of the asset. The children had never even come to Costa Rica, had no interest in owning here. And we were trying to help them sell. You know what the major problem was? We couldn't get them here to sign the paperwork. So if you either have to fly into Costa Rica or you have to find a Costa Rican consulate near you, which is very difficult. And then you have to appear in person at that consulate. So it's very, very difficult. So for that reason, I always say there's no downside. Own it in a corporation. And you don't worry about having to have that corporation before you pick out a home here. It doesn't have to come before that. Basically, my clients come down here. We search for a home. If they find one, we acquire it, put it under contract. Then after all the due diligence is done on the property and they're sure they're moving forward, only at that point the attorneys will say, okay, let's create a corporation. It only takes a couple of days. It's like a shelf corporation. You register it with the government. You name it whatever you want. It's your corporation. So that's how that works. So do own in a corporation and do not own in your personal name. Number 4 on the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. Do know that cash is king. What do I say? What do I mean when I say cash is king? It just basically means that there are some new developments, but the vast majority of my clients cannot take out a loan here in Costa Rica from a Costa Rica bank because they're not Costa Rican residents. So they basically just need to either be liquid and have the cash or secure their financing in the United States or Canada or wherever they're from and bring that cash down here to purchase real estate. All real estate is transacted in US dollars, okay? How does that work? How would you acquire financing? I will tell you a wonderful asset that the vast majority of my homeowners use that aren't already liquid is a home equity line of credit. It's basically a home equity line of credit on an existing US or Canadian home because that's the collateral, that home, and you can do with that money whatever you want. And so many of my homeowners are using that money and enhancing their quality of life by buying second homes here in Costa Rica. So that's a beautiful thing. Also, there's new products. It's the asset-based lending is huge. JP Morgan Chase Bank and some other financial institutions are offering, basically they lend on your portfolio. They lend on your stocks or your portfolio of assets. Again, that's the collateral, so you can do with that money whatever you want, and you can also buy Costa Rica real estate with that. Another resource, not as well known, all of my accountant clients use it because they know about it, is a redirection of 401k or an IRA. So remember, that is money held that's owning something, owning usually stocks, but you can redirect that so that it owns real estate. The only thing I want to say about this is there are a couple caveats. Number one, there's a lot of paperwork involved. So this is something you should probably start to explore and maybe get the ball rolling before you come down to Costa Rica to look at property. What else can I say? Oh, remember, so there are companies in the US that specialize in this redirection of a 401k. Definitely use them. This is their business. They're professionals. They know how to do it, because what you don't want to do is mess it up. Because if you don't do it the right way, you don't want the government to say, oh, you touched your money early and you're penalized at like 50% tax rate, right? So you don't want to do that. So just do it the right way. Absolutely, my clients have utilized it very successfully. And another caveat about this particular one is that you can't live here full time. It's supposed to be an asset, right? That's kind of separate in part from your primary residence. So that is a restriction on that particular type of financing from the United States. So do know that cash is king down here. Rule number 5, do know that there's exceptions to every rule. So what are the exceptions to cash is king down here? And I love the exceptions because not all of my clients are liquid for $500,000 or whatever it is. The exceptions to that, seller financing, that's a big one. Unfortunately, only maybe 20% of our sellers will even consider seller financing, but that's where the seller says, I'm willing to sell my home to a buyer, and with half down at close, I'm willing to carry paper. I'm willing to finance the other half. If a seller agrees to do this, the interest rate's negotiable, just like the price. And then basically it's a short-term loan though. Most of my homeowners will only want to carry paper for about 1 to 2 years. I have had homeowners offer more, and I've had one seller agree to a 7-year, but that's the outside parameters of that. What else can I say about seller financing? It's been something that it's been great for my sellers because they get a nice interest rate on it, and it's been great for my buyers because they can acquire the home of their dreams. But remember, in that situation, usually you still have to have 50% down. It's over a 1 to 2 year term, but it is amortized over 30 years. So you can make very, very small, like interest-only payments, and then have a balloon payment in the end. It's a great resource for my homeowners who are going to be selling an asset in the US or Canada over the next year or two. What other exceptions to the rule that cash is king exist? Pre-construction is a great way my clients can get in. Obviously, with pre-construction, you sometimes need to make a deposit or a reservation. That's a small amount, and then you make incremental payments based on milestones of the developer. So that's another great resource. And the third exception to the normal rule that cash is king is we have some very new products, new financing products. We just closed 6 weeks ago our first transaction where a U.S. client was able to get a loan from a Costa Rican bank, La Fice Bank, to purchase a home here. Also, they have longer financing lengths, which is great. And I just had an amazing meeting this morning with a private financier who is expanding. Great company, a wealth of money to lend, and very, very knowledgeable. The rates are quite good. From the bank, they're not as good, right? But if it's the only option you have, it's the only option you have. But this meeting I literally had this morning, and I'm going to do a video on it for you as well. It's a great private lender that's offering pretty attractive rates, and they have different loan products. So it could be a short kind of construction loan. It could be up to a 30-year mortgage. That is an amazing development for my clients. We're so excited, but we're learning this in real time. So that's all the information I have for you now, but I'm really excited for what this holds in the future for my clients. Number 6, what are we on? Are we on number 6? Yes. Of the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. Do know that you will likely need a property manager. There are a few exceptions to this rule as well, but the vast majority of my clients need someone here. They're not living here full time. You need someone to protect your asset, make sure things are getting done, make sure the gardener's coming, the pool is being cleaned. You also need someone to pay your property taxes, pay your utility bills, make sure that you're complying with all the homeowner requirements for Costa Rica. So make sure you have a property manager and that property manager is SUGEF registered, SUGEF. If they are not, something is wrong because that is the law and you need to look for a new property manager. Number 7, the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. Do rent out your home on Airbnb if you want to. I get asked this a lot. There's a lot of places in the U.S. at least where it is a ton of controversy. We're from Chicago. I mean, talk about the controversy surrounding Airbnb rentals. It's ridiculous. Yes, you can absolutely rent out your home on Airbnb, VRBO, as a short-term vacation rental. There are no restrictions imposed by the government or the local municipalities on that, so you're free to do that. Now, there may be a condo development or an HOA homeowner association that may restrict those rights, but I only know of one that I can think of because so many of the homeowners here do want to rent their home out as vacation rental and make money while they're not using it because everybody wants to come here on vacation. So I totally understand that. Which brings me to my next do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. If you do rent out your Airbnb home, do remember to pay taxes on that. You have to pay income taxes on that. So here's basically how it works. Remember I was talking about ownership in that corporation? This comes back into play here. And that's why it's so simple. So you're not the taxpayer. Your Costa Rica corporation is a taxpayer. So we register you in Hacienda, that's the IRS here, as a taxpayer. And then basically we collect all the sales taxes. You don't pay sales taxes on your rents, your renters pay that. But we collect that from them and then we give that to the government. And the law here states that you have to file your income taxes if you're renting out short term on a monthly basis rather than a yearly basis, which is just more work for us, but we don't mind. We have a full accounting department that can handle that for you. But you do need to pay on a monthly basis your income tax on the rentals that you are observing in your home. Number 9 on the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica, and I always think this is cute and I get a kick out of it. Do not stress about whether or not you know Spanish before you live or invest here. It's not necessary. It's supposed to be a good thing, not a stressful thing. So I've had many clients who come down here, and every time they come here, they take classes, they take courses. With their morning coffee, they take an hour or two, maybe each day or maybe even a week, and they become more and more fluent every time they visit, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I also know that it's second language is not for everyone, and it's a lot tougher for some people than it is for others. So don't feel like you have to know it. Like I said, don't make it a stressful thing. The Costa Ricans are so well educated. Many are bilingual, and you can get along here just fine with knowing a few words. I mean, I have many homeowners that just know, casa, house, cerveza, beer, and they seem to get around just fine. So don't worry about it. And then number 10, the do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. Just do remember that if you live here and you don't have residency status, that you're on that 3-month visa. So you will have to exit the country every 3 months. It's really not a hindrance for my clients. Most of my clients don't stay here for longer than 3 months, or if they're living here full time, they just have to make what we call a border run, or they go visit family. You don't have to go home. You just have to get out of here. That's what I always say. You can get a flight, go somewhere, even Panama, explore Central America, and then come back and renew your visa, unless you're a resident. And remember, your purchase of $150,000 or more in a home here does qualify you for residency if you would like to apply. Okay, that's it. I don't want this to be too long. It already is too long, but those are my top 10 do's and don'ts of investing in Costa Rica. I really hope you found this information helpful, and I hope to see you again soon. Ciao for now. Pura vida.